Last time on Love at First Shot.
Instead of shooting, we're gonna be shopping.
I apologize for the mess. I didn't know you were gonna get in my closet today.
This is where it becomes difficult for us, but I have a few tips that will help you choose a wardrobe that will work with your concealed carry gear.
Today's episode of 27 Words, we are going to learn about how important the Second Amendment is to keeping the freedoms we hold so dearly. After all, it is the freedom that guarantees the rest.
For this episode of Love at First Shot, we turn our attention to competition. And one of the greatest competitors I know is Julie Golob of Team Smith & Wesson. She had a chance to visit with a junior shooter and her family. And I can tell you this young lady has a bright future ahead of her. Julie also created a fun challenge for Krystal, Lanny, and Tess. You saw them in the shopping challenge, and now they're going head-to-head on the range. And of course, we sit down for another roundtable segment. Thanks for joining us for Love at First Shot, presented by Smith & Wesson, with ammunition provided by Federal Premium.
A concealed carry firearm is one that you need to be able to use under pressure. So another C of concealed carry is controls. Now, a revolver is very, very simple. Sights, trigger, and the cylinder release here, it makes it very easy and simple to use this firearm, and that's why it's a top choice for a lot of concealed carry holders. Semi-autos, they're a bit more complicated. Here you have a magazine release button, a slide stopper release, you have manual safeties, you may have lasers. All of these controls are something that you're going to need to learn to manipulate. That said, even though semi-autos are more complicated, they're desirable because they tend to have more ammunition, greater capacity. They're also a little slimmer and easier to carry in some situations. The key thing is you need to be able to reach and access these controls easily. The best thing to do, don't just handle your firearm in a gun shop or one that you're looking at. You need to go to the range and shoot it to make sure that you can access all of these controls. If you lack the ability to manipulate them, if you don't have hand strength or dexterity, this is going to become an issue, and it's something that may make you consider another firearm. Always keep in mind that this is an important aspect. You need to make sure that you're able to control this firearm and everything about it when you're under pressure.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Love at First Shot, when Julie will address the 5th C of concealed carry, concealability.
A lot of people are going to tell you that the Second Amendment is outdated, but actually, our God-given rights don't have an expiration date. I'm Lydia Longoria, and today's episode of 27 Words is about our God-given right to self-defense. But how do you argue that a 200-year-old document is even relevant today? Think of it this way. Just as a birth certificate doesn't give life, it merely acknowledges its existence. The same thing can be said about the Constitution. When the founders wrote the right of the people, they did not create these rights. Rather, they just acknowledged that our Second Amendment, the right to self-defense, is God-given. And what this phrase means is when anti-gunners argue against the Second Amendment, they aren't saying you're not a person who can't have guns. They're saying you're not a person because you don't have this God-given right. Doesn't that sound so familiar? In fact, this rhetoric really is no different than the rhetoric behind keeping firearms out of the hands of freed slaves after the Civil War. Now, Dana Lash has a really great series about this on NRATV called The DL that more deeply explores what relevance the racist passive gun control laws have today. I highly suggest checking it out.
The modern gun control movement is just today's version of the exact policies used to keep firearms out of the hands of freed slaves after the Civil War.
But what I will say is that it is so important to note that racism is so tightly woven into the history of gun control that we should be so incredibly suspicious at any control aimed at a law-abiding people. So what would I say to anyone who tries to take away this God-given right? We have the obligation to look through the same lens when reviewing gun control that we would use with respect to anything that's based on equal rights. And what we would find is that most gun control laws violate on that most fundamental of God-given rights, the right to self-defense.
So this is my idea of the ultimate girls' day out. Here we are at the range with three lovely ladies. We have Krystal Dunn, Salb, and Lanny Barnes. And normally you may see these ladies tearing up the range in a competition somewhere across the country or the world. But today, we're gonna have some fun using some targets that you can go buy at a store and just setting up a fun challenge. This is an ideal thing to set up with friends and family. You don't have to be a big competition shooter, but you can set something similar to this and have a great time. All right, so we have basically a 3-position stage here. You're gonna start on this side of the range, and from that position, beyond that stick, you're gonna engage the balloons that you see from this position. You're gonna advance to the middle. You've got 2 paper plates and some pretty small chalk. And then you're gonna advance past this final stick to the 3rd position where you have 3 soda bottles and a last balloon. Ooh. Now here's the thing. You have a time limit. So you have to be able to shoot as many of these targets down within 20 seconds. So your targets will be your score.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And you'll all have to, at some point, perform a reload or magazine change. Okay. So what do you think?
Sounds like a good challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Come on.
All right, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Krystal, and I am a USPSA shooter from Minnesota, and I actually own a brow and skincare salon. So it's funny, I actually a lot of times get questions from clients like, really, you? Like, you shoot? You're, kind of girly, and you own a salon, and you do brows. So all the shooters think I'm super girly if I take, 2 seconds just to throw in some chapstick. So it's kind of funny, I don't exactly fit in either one, but I love being able to do both. All right.
Let me make ready. Are you ready? Stand by. Go. Nice. Awesome, you did it. Go ahead and unload and show clear. Gun clear, hammer down, and holster.
Nice job. That was awesome.
That was pretty fantastic.
I was nervous.
I started shooting pistol through the sport of modern pentathlon when I was 12 years old. In 1998, I was fortunate enough to make the U.S. World Shooting Championship team, where I was able to represent the United States in Barcelona, Spain.
My name is Lanny Barnes. I'm a 3-time Olympic biathlete and professional 3-gunner. Some of my future goals are to become the top shooter in 3-gun, not just on the women's side, but I'd like to see if we can start cracking the top of the ranks in the men as well. There's no reason why the women can't shoot just as good as the men.
All right, go ahead and load and make ready.
My stiffest competition would probably be myself, honestly, because the ladies that I'm going up against are absolutely amazing. I do not get to compete nearly as much as they do. That being said, it doesn't mean that I won't have an edge on them in some ways.
Ready to rock.
All right, load and make ready.
Just like the shopping challenge, a lot of stiff competition out there, so I'm not gonna make any predictions yet, but I'm not gonna hold anything back either.
Are you ready? Stand by. Go. Stop. Unload and show clear. gun clear, hammer down, and holster. That was awesome. All right, are you ready? Stand by, go. That last one doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
Unload, show clear, gun clear, hammer down, and holster. Range is clear. Okay. So you got all the chalk, you got all the paper, got all this side, but two balloons. So you are tied. All right, so I'm all about redemption. How about one final shoot-off challenge to kind of even things out?
Oh my.
Behold, 3 sparklers.
Ooh, I don't know.
Okay, very, very small target. This is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna light them. I'm gonna set them up on the board. There'll be 3 in a row. Once I come back and get cleared, I'm gonna say go, and you're gonna load from the holster, and whoever shoots theirs first wins the overall challenge. Go! Oh, we got a winner! Unloaded, show clear! Gun clear. Gun clear, gun clear, hammer down and holster. Lanny, Krystal, then Tess. That was awesome.
That was fun.
And that was like within 5 seconds. So awesome. I had so much fun, ladies. I love the fact that we could get out here and do something that we don't normally do. And this is something that anybody can set up. You know, you have untraditional targets, and you just have a great time at it. Just make sure, obviously, you clear things with your range, you know, and always clean up after yourselves. But hopefully you had a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, this was a blast. I had so much fun.
Oh, very good. Well, this is something you guys can set up at home too. Please do, and share your stories with us at Love at First Shot. And until next time, we hope to see you at the range. My girls.
What were you guys talking about?
We were just talking about how this was actually a lot of fun, and I was a little more nervous to shoot this than I would a normal match, just because it's something I'd never done before. Whereas I've shot steel, I've shot all types of stuff, and this was totally different.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, having competed at such a high level, it's nice to go back and do something that's just fun and brings you back to your roots.
Oh, hey.
How was it for you?
Oh my God, it was so much fun. We were talking about the ideas for the stages before, and I was like, I really want to shoot balloons. And I actually ran my stage plan the way I did just so I had a chance to shoot the soda in case I didn't have time.
That was pretty fantastic.
Oh, I was nervous.
We are at the USPSA Area 3 Championships here in Grand Island, Nebraska, with Cassie Beahr, 16-year-old junior competitive shooter. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
We're having a great time, aren't we?
We are.
Tell me, how did your match go? How are you feeling?
It went well. I'm very happy with how I performed.
Yeah.
2 mics the entire match.
Nice.
So I'm pretty excited about that.
When did you first experience firearms at a young age?
I was young, probably around 6, 7.
We shot with a rifle on a bench. She wasn't allowed to pick it up, carry the gun around. It was to stay at the bench, and we shot targets long range.
My dad got the basics down, and then I've just progressed from there. It came natural. Yeah. After he showed me, then I felt like I was confident enough I could do it, and then he just sat back and watched. I mean, he was right there in case something happened. My very, very first match was the Iowa Games in 2013, and then I just kind of progressed from there.
She shot the Iowa Games and won 2 gold medals in the Iowa Games. At that point, we're like, she has a little bit more talent than what we realized.
It was a natural ability came out in her, and we've seen that, so we wanted to see just how far she could take it.
She used to be the girl in the softball t-shirt. We'd show up at a match and, you know, oh, she's cute. But she'd get up there and she'd start shooting and she'd win, you know. So, I mean, that really impressed a lot of the guys. I mean, there's no other sport you're going to see a 30-year-old man go up to a 16-year-old girl and ask her for advice of how to shoot a match.
Cassie is obviously a beautiful young lady, and she smiles, and she loves the people and everything else, but when that buzzer goes, it's like you're a different person.
Are you ready? Bye.
I have a competitive side.
Yeah.
And
no, really?
And as soon as that buzzer goes, I'm zoned and I'm focused and I'm ready to shoot.
Yeah.
But I just have fun. You do have an individuality in a team sport.
Right.
I mean, you have your positions like softball.
Yep.
But with shooting, you have all of it combined. So you
Yeah.
have to make sure you have your targets, you know your course very well, your bullets, reload. So it's all of it kind of combined.
And you've got team mom and dad, too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You got the best team in the world behind
Yep.
You know, when she comes to the range, she not only has to have the responsibility of the gun handling and all that, but it is so much more breaking down of the stages and keeping your head in the game. It's a huge, huge responsibility and huge mental game as well.
And maturity level. I see some kids her age, you know, it's not always there, but she has a very, very good maturity level. So we're proud of her for that.
What is your favorite part about this sport in particular?
The camaraderie.
Yeah.
And how people just take you in as family.
We have met people all over the United States and good friends, friends that Cassie will have the rest of her life. Cassie gets IMs from people in Sweden, from people in Jamaica, Switzerland, all over. What other kind of sports do you have that type of camaraderie and people support each other?
Why do you think that there aren't as many women shooting as we'd like to see?
I don't know. I don't know if they're just timid.
Yeah.
If they're a little nervous. You shouldn't be nervous. Everyone takes you in as family.
Yeah.
Don't be intimidated. Just have fun. Just come out and have fun.
Yeah. And what I love about how you shoot is everything's very smooth and you take every stage based on your own comfort level. Is that something that you would say is a good thing for a newer shooter as well?
Do what's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Say if someone tries to blow it out of the water and shoot it a different way and it's uncomfortable to you, do what's comfortable for you.
Yeah. You know, I see what you're doing and you're coming out on the range and you're setting this example for all of these young junior competitors, but you're also setting an example for parents too. I have a daughter and looking at you and knowing that she's almost there and almost ready, how does it feel to be like a little bit of a role model at such a young age?
It's really cool. I do have people come up to me and say that their daughter wants to meet me, and it makes me feel good.
So what would you say to the people out there who think that you shouldn't be able to come out here and compete as a 16-year-old girl?
I don't believe in it. As long as you're responsible and you're safe about it, you know your safety, keep the gun down range, finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot, you're fine.
I think you're such a great inspiration for so many
Thank
young
you.
women. And just knowing that, you know, you're showing and breaking barriers and doing great things, I expect to see your name up in that podium spot a lot.
I hope so.
Probably my personal hero in the firearms world right now is Kim Rohde. I just really admire her and everything she's done and the way that she handles herself in the hostile environment, anti-gun environment that is California, and the fact that she stands up for her sport and that she's medaled 6 times in 6 Olympiads, and she's the only American to ever do that. And I just really, really admire her. And she's a mom as well, so I think we're really lucky to have her as such a leader in the industry. She's a personal hero of mine.
Shooting sports are a ton of fun, and thanks to Stock Gun Divisions, even more accessible. For this Smith & Wesson product spotlight here at Wilshire Gun Club, I have the M&P C.O.R.E. C.O.R.E. stands for Competition Optics Ready Equipment. The gun comes with iron sights right out of the box, and it's a great option for stock and production gun divisions. It also features the M&P's 3 different grip sizes, a textured grip along the back and the front, and a great enhanced trigger right out of the box. But what's special about this particular firearm is you can also set it up with your favorite red dot optic. And I have a Trijicon RMR on mine. It's great for the carry optics divisions and for those who want to get started in the shooting sports. So if you want to get started in competition, check it out, M&P C.O.R.E. Competition is one of the things that we love to talk about here on Love at First Shot, and I have two wonderful ladies, Tess and Krystal, and we got to experience our own type of competition for this season, but I thought we'd talk a little bit about your background in competition first.
So I always just kind of grew up doing like target shooting and then segued into my dad telling me to look into competition shooting. I had no idea what that was. I looked it up on YouTube and I'm like, yes, obviously you should be doing that. So I started out and did like half a season in IDPA and then moved to USPSA, all action pistol shooting sports. And I've been doing that this past year as my 4th season. And then this was my first time segueing into some precision rifle, which is a growing sport, which is really, really fun to get behind and start, you know, plinking something at 1,000 yards out. So,
absolutely. Yeah. How did it feel the first moment you realized that it was something you wanted to do more of?
When I realized I actually enjoyed shooting, it was something I was kind of really good at. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was, for me, it was time to spend with friends. It was something different. It was a new challenge, and it was kind of something of my own.
And I love that there's a way to track and measure progress in it. I think that was the big thing for me. You come on and you're like, well, that was an okay run, but it could be better.
Right.
You know, and if anybody has even a little bit of competitive drive in them, and especially because a lot of it's competing against yourself, truly.
It's always been a way for me to set a very personal goal and try to achieve it. How do you tell people how they can get started?
Take a class is the first step. A lot of ranges these days are offering classes that are for single sports.
Yeah. Luckily, a lot of the shooting communities around the country are very welcoming and very friendly, and they really do want to bring people in. And then now, being in the position I'm in, like I, you know, will invite people to these things, and you know, even just come watch a match, learn kind of what we're doing. If I have to explain it to people who don't really understand, I'm like, well, basically, it's kind of like an obstacle course where we're, you know, running through and shooting through walls and barrels and windows. It's so cool.
So many people go to the range, right? And they end up doing the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
And I'm curious if you found that you have been tapping into, like, I wonder if this might be the spark.
Yeah, there's all kinds of fun things you can do that I think get people involved and interested. Yeah. And steel, I love to take people out and playing steel.
Yeah.
Makes a sound, very gratifying, you know, falls down, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Anything that gives instant gratification, you know, where they can see, oh, I did it, as opposed to shooting paper and having to walk down range and wait to see if you did anything.
So I have a friend who I have been friends with for years and years and years, and her husband was a shooter, but she refuses to shoot with me because she feels intimidated that I will be better. Do you ever find that, and do you think that's a woman thing?
I think, honestly, for me, women are much more open to coming to shoot with me.
Even though you're like junior Olympic champion, 3-gun goddess, you know?
Right, and my experience is just that they, you know, they feel comfortable knowing that I'm gonna take care of them, which is important. I think a lot of the guys I get, the comments that they're more intimidated to come shoot with me.
With you as a guy,
yes,
instead of women.
Yes.
Interesting.
I kind of get that same, I think, where guys are like, I don't want to come shoot with you, like, oh, because they're like, oh, you're gonna kick my butt, that's gonna, you know. But with girls, yeah, I totally get the opposite, where they're like, I would love to come shoot with you. And I think girls explain things a little bit differently.
Yes.
And I think sometimes they've been out with these guys who just expect, like, we grab it, you load it, and they're like, this is all new for me. I need you to go to fundamentals. So I feel like going with a really experienced woman, they feel like they're gonna get a little bit more of that. It's gonna feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what would you say to that younger version of Krystal trying out for the first time? Were you nervous? What would you tell her?
Just relax, you know, embrace the advice that you get and the mentors that you find, and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of being so like, I'm gonna do the right thing,
Need
so
to be
nervous.
perfect.
Yes, exactly, right?
And you, what advice would you give your younger competitive self?
But honestly, I would probably just tell myself, believe in yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, just know that you can do it, because I did it and I tried it, I stuck with it, and it took me places.
Do you think like shooting overall and competing overall has helped your confidence as a person?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
How so?
Taught me a lot about what I could do, what I couldn't do. When I thought something was impossible and I reached it, you know, that was eye-opening for me. It was just kind of okay, you know what, I can do this. And being able to go out there and compete with the best of them is amazing. And that's one thing I love about shooting, is that I can go out to the firing line and I can compete with you two ladies. I'm not gonna beat you by any means, however, but I can compete with you and I can have a great time doing it. And that's where shooting is such a great sport for families, for, you know, for significant others, for just friends, is that you can all compete together on the same squad. And while you might not be the same level, you can still stand shoulder to shoulder and be right there.
Right. Well, and it's funny because we all know all the positive effects of competing in a sport, like what that does for kids.
Yeah.
You know, it still does that for adults, right?
Sure.
And I always say, I'm like, how many chances do you really get to do something competitively after high school and college?
Right.
And that for me was a huge part of it. You know, if I can go out and shoot with some of the best shooters in the world, and I am not going to come anywhere near their scores, but at the same time, like, we're still having fun. I'm learning from them, and I'm still setting my own personal goals and chasing those down. It's a positive, good thing for everybody, I think, in their life to do something like that.
Yeah, I find it's the best balance of being a part of you know, a family, an extended family, but at the same time, when you're shooting in that moment, it's all about you.
Yes.
It's so personal, and I think that's what, it's my escape. You know, it's my me time, is what I like to tell people, and I wish more people would do it. Let's get out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Next time on Love at First Shot.
Tell me, as a mom, what are you looking forward to? Because you guys are shooting together.
I knew it was probably going to be a hostile environment, but I didn't care. I really thought it needed to be talked about.
The whole idea of every mother or father carrying a baby and also packing heat is very disturbing to me.
Of course, one of the critical components of concealed carry is how easy it is for you to conceal your firearm.
Today's episode of 27 Words is about my favorite topic, guns. To keep and bear arms seems pretty straightforward, and you'll notice it doesn't include any qualifiers.